Welcome back to Taking Charge of My Cancer podcast, episode 80. And I'm really looking forward to this conversation with a very great guest, Luz Bay. So she was born and raised in the Philippines and the seventh of 14 children. Luz Bay pursued education that led her to the United States, where she eventually earned a PhD in educational measurement and statistics. Her impressive 30-year career as a psychometrician include holding various corporate responsibilities, culminating in her current role overseeing a team providing psychometric services to college placement assessment program, as well as a group of standardized tests that provide a mechanism for earning college credits without taking college courses. I'm really looking forward to hear that.
Okay.
Luz is a longtime resident of Dover, New Hampshire, where she lives with her husband, Mike, and where they raise their two adult children, Lucas and Lina. She's dedicated and accomplished individual who on November 8, 2022 was elected to the New Hampshire House of Representatives. Being a brown immigrating woman with a medical condition adds a personal perspective of her advocacy beyond her political engagement. She has observed the challenge posed by white supremacy, attempts to limit healthcare access, threats to voting rights, and the erosion of women's rights nationwide. A seasoned marathon runner, having completed 17 in-person marathons, including the Abbott World Marathon Majors and the Doping Challenge in her 60th birthday.
Yes.
Luz applies the discipline of running to all aspects of her life, emphasizing pacing and thoughtfulness in pursuit of her goals. Her resilience, advocacy, and dedication made her a formidable force in both the professional and personal spheres of her life. So I'm so excited to hear everything you have to say, and thank you again for being with me today.
Of course.
So you want to tell me a little bit about this career of yours to begin with?
Oh, my career. So I'm a psychometrician. That's my training. So I actually started in mathematics. So my bachelor's degrees, my bachelor's degree and my master's degree are actually in pure math. And then I was also in the PhD program in pure math. But then after a year in the program, I was like, pure math is all theories. You prove theorems day in, day out. And I feel like I wanted to work on something that I can touch. So at least, so I looked into other avenues where I wound up in educational measurement and statistics. So when I say you can touch, when you're looking at measurement and statistics, there's actually data. In pure mathematics, there's no data at all. It's all theory. So I like where I wound up with. I've been a psychometrician since October 1993. So I've been working in educational measurement. I've worked for 3 testing companies, national testing companies. And right now, I'm actually working in a program called AccuPlacer. I'm an employee of the college board, and I'm the director in charge of 2 testing programs that are actually provide a lot of service to mostly students who go to community colleges, because the placement program, which is AccuPlacer. So basically, as you know, when somebody comes to a community college, want to have a college degree, they have to be accepted. And a lot of those people are students who are non-traditional students. So they were in high school back in the day, or when they were in high school, they weren't really thinking of going to college. Otherwise, they would have taken the SAT. But they didn't. So when they come to the community college, the college is the responsibility to place them in a course where they are likely to succeed. Because if you just let them take a course that's they're not prepared for, then they're going to fail. It's going to affect them in 2 different ways: financially, because you paid and then you didn't get the credit, or in your motivation. You'll get discouraged. So I like AccuPlacer because it really puts the student in the right path.
That's awesome. I'm so glad you're doing that because how many students don't know how to get to that path and they
Yes.
just don't have the opportunity to be very successful because they're just being kind of like, or even with students who have any kind of, disabilities as well,
Mhm.
even with that.
Yes.
So that's unbelievable. So that's awesome. I'm so glad you're doing that.
And the other program that I'm providing psychometrics for is called CLAP, or college level um, examination program. And it's basically the program has been around for over 50 years. So this is there are 34 tests that correspond to college courses that you take in either freshman or sophomore year. So mostly introductory. And uh, there are over 2,000 colleges and universities that use this. So if you take a course, you pay like what, $1,500, $2,000? You take this test for $93.
Oh
And
my,
if you pass, you get a credit.
oh wow.
So it's really the least expensive way of going to college. I remember we had a speaker in one of our conferences one time, and he spoke about getting a college degree, 4-year college degree for $13,000, if memory serves. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So
That's
I'm
not
very,
what
very
I
proud working in this
expected.
program because I feel like it's serving a lot of college students who need it the most.
That's amazing. Wow. Well, changing a little bit of gears, I know that you had to deal with breast cancer, correct?
Yes.
So you want to tell us a little bit about your diagnosis. How did you find about your cancer?
Well, it. I guess I have to say that it wasn't really a surprise because it runs in my family. Eventually, I found out that I'm BRCA1, but my father is from a family of 8 children, two boys and 6 girls, and all of my father's sisters were affected by breast or ovarian cancer. That's why when I was first diagnosed, I was only I don't know, 34 years old. But by that time, even though I was really young, I already had my baseline mammogram because you
Mhm.
know it was recommended. But how I found out was I was actually taking a shower and giving myself the breast exam like one does, and actually suspected it. I did not go to my primary care physician right away because that morning when I was taking a shower, we were actually going on a trip, on a house hunting trip here in New Hampshire. That time, my husband and we weren't married yet, but we were living in Iowa. We were changing jobs to move to New Hampshire, and we were going on our trip to for our house hunting. And so while we were on that trip, I had made the appointment, and so right away I saw my PCP, sent me for another mammogram. Unfortunately, the tumor was so close to my rib that the mammogram can't see it. So they took picture after picture, they can't see it. So send me for an ultrasound, and that's when they found out about it. We were really busy that time, so we were hurrying up. What can we do right away? And this was about week after Thanksgiving, and so by December 11th, I was I had my lumpectomy, and because we were moving December 11th, we were moving on December 18th, but I want something to be resolved. I have it, do I not have it? So I was actually able to schedule a lumpectomy in an office. So it wasn't in a hospital. So in the surgeon's clinic. It was an outpatient. I remember being there. The nurse was there, and the surgeon, and then my husband was there. And it was funny because our memory of it was my husband was about to pass out, and so the nurse had to take care of him. It's like, oh, you want me to go for a walk? And then I was very calm. I was actually looking down where the doctor was taking it, and then he said something like, "Well, pathologists don't like me doing this, but he cut the tumor in half, look at it, and say, yep, that's cancer."
Oh my
So it
God.
was confirmed to me. So I was like, of course, we have to send it to a pathologist and so forth. And again, things are going fast because that was 11 a.m. And my memory of it is 11 a.m. I was having my surgery at 3 p.m. I was in an airplane. I was traveling to St. Louis for my work because I had to facilitate a 6-day meeting.
Oh my God.
So I remember being bandaged up and all of that, but was just taking it in stride. So that was like 6 days, came back, I don't know, the 17th. And on the 18th, we left to travel. And so, and then on that travel, so we're traveling from Iowa to New Hampshire. We stopped in Kent, Ohio, where my husband's family is from. We got married there. That was planned. And then on the way to New Hampshire, we detoured to Niagara Falls for honeymoon, and then got to New Hampshire. And in the evening, the next day was my appointment at the Seacoast Cancer Center, where I have been treated and have been treated for my next two breast cancer also. But
So
it's like
how many times have you been? Well, let me ask one thing
times.
first. Where did you know, did you guys, any of your family had a genetic testing before, and were you having a genetic testing or not?
No, no, I didn't have genetic testing the first time. I mean, I guess I'm sort of guessing it, but once you're treated at the cancer center, they always their protocols is that you get your second opinion at the Dana Farber in Boston. And so we were treated very well there. They have very good services, and they did talk to me about genetic testing, but they also warned me about, okay, this was 1999. This was January 1999. So things were different. Um, and they said, well, we can have genetic testing, and then you will probably confirm that you have it because of your family. But the warning was, uh, insurance companies might consider it a pre-existing condition. The laws were different then. This was 1999.
So glad that things are so much different now, right?
Yes, the laws have changed.
Okay.
But during that time, it wasn't. So I did not do genetic testing. I did it on the second breast cancer. But more importantly, one other important question that I was asked during my visit was, uh, you're in chemotherapy. One of the side effects is perimenopause. So this will affect your likelihood of having children. Would you like to freeze your eggs? So as you know, we just got married,
Yeah, yeah.
and I said no. The reason I said no was, what if I was not meant to have children? If I was not meant to have children, freezing my eggs only means that I'm protecting something that wasn't even there. So why don't I think of, myself right now, get better and concentrate on that?
And that's what happened.
And that's what happened. So 1 year after my last treatment, I guess, we said, okay, maybe we should, I'm better, I'm in remission, and So I went to all the doctors
Mhm.
to see if it's okay to have children, all the oncologists and all that. And my gynecologist, who has become a very good friend and a fellow marathon runner, she said, okay, why don't you guys try for like 6 months, and then if nothing happens in 6 months, we'll figure out something.
Just
I
that.
was pregnant in 3 months.
Oh, wow. Wow. Very good. See, meant to be for
Yes,
you.
meant
Uh,
to be,
so
meant to be.
were you having, did you have chemotherapy after
I
that?
had chemotherapy and I had chemotherapy and radiation. I did not do tamoxifen because I was thinking of having children.
Got you. Okay, very good. You know, I'm very surprised about that because back then, like now, uh,
Mhm.
yeah, even if you're not have been coming across patients who were pregnant while they were diagnosed with breast cancer, and they were actually being given chemo in a lower doses, another, to make sure that the baby is not gonna get
Right.
affected. But very surprised that they back then that they were like totally okay with it while you were going with in chemo. So great.
Yeah.
So how come did you have, do you have, how many more times did you have breast cancer?
Well, yeah. So after I had my children in 2000, December 2000, and February 2004. And when my daughter was about to turn 4, so in 2007, I was diagnosed with my second breast cancer. It's in the other breast. It's not based on the pathology. They're not related. It's really a totally different cancer that came up. So, at that time, okay, I know the drill. So went back to cancer center. I already know the doctors and all of that. Of course, the difference was I did have the genetic testing and confirmed that I'm BRCA1. I have the BRCA1 gene.
Did,
Um,
did they remove any lymph nodes on the,
Pardon me?
did they remove any lymph nodes out of the,
Yes, actually, okay. So the when I had it the first time, because it's just a lumpectomy, when I moved here, and then I had a separate surgery for the lymph node dissection,
okay.
and they were negative. Now, another thing, this really, to me, it's like the not only the laws are changing, the medical technology is changing, because when I had my first breast cancer, they didn't have the sentinel node strategy, or whatever we call it. So by the time that I had my second breast cancer, then there's the sentinel node. I just feel that that was the the most painful injection I've ever gotten. Is the sentinel node. But so during surgery, they cleared me. So okay, the sentinel node is negative. We moved on. But then when it was sent to Dana Farber, they said they're not so sure that it was clear. So I
Okay.
had to go back for a second surgery for lymph node dissection. Then again, a lot of lymph nodes were taken, and they were negative. They were all negative anyway. So
Gotcha.
maybe we didn't have to do the lymph node dissection, but hey, it's negative. It's good.
Yeah. Have you have any issues with developing lymphedema on your upper extremity?
No,
Great. Very good.
no.
Good.
Thank goodness.
Yes, very good. Excellent. And so you had the second surgery on the other breast. Any
Mhm.
lymph nodes were taken out with that?
Yes, they were lymph nodes and they were all negative. Yes,
Okay, perfect. And then you have a third one?
yes. So the third one, because both I've had radiation on both breasts, then I can't do the chemo and radiation anymore. So they of course recommended mastectomy. So I went to have a double mastectomy, which interestingly, when I didn't have breast cancer, so between my second and third breast cancer, again, the laws changed. The insurance are now covering uh, um,
Reconstruction.
reconstruction for breast cancer. And so it was recommended to me. So again, met with the doctors and all of that, and then decided that I'll chance it, but I'll do it when if I had another breast cancer, which is what I did. Um, and but interestingly, in relation to marathon running, I found out that so during the my training, the tail end of my training for my second major marathon, which was Chicago, that's when I was diagnosed. And so I knew when I was running the Chicago Marathon that after I get back, I'm gonna have surgery. But the other thing that happened in Chicago Marathon is I found out about the World Marathon Majors. At that point, I didn't know about the World Marathon Majors, but I found out about the World Marathon Majors. And then looking at the list, I'm like, well, there's no way. I'm a slow runner. There's no way I'll qualify for Boston. Boston is the only one that doesn't have lottery. So the only way I'm going to run Boston is through charity. And I was like, if I, if I run with a cancer charity, the best time to raise money for a cancer charity is when you have cancer. So that's what I did. I applied to be in the Dana Farber team, and lo and behold, I ran the Boston Marathon. I wasn't done with all my procedures yet. I'm still in the middle of reconstruction. Uh, so I remember after I run, after I finished, and then I can even move my arms, and so there were very very helpful volunteers. That there's this woman who was literally, dressing me because I can't move. I can't even. I mean, right now it's still a little limited, but at that time I can't even move my arm to take my sports bra off.
My God. Oh my God. So
But I
you
did
think,
it.
yeah. So if we go back, how much do you think that being an athlete helped you to recover from your cancers and the treatment that you had?
Well, the thing is, I did not start running until after my second 4 years into after my second breast cancer.
Okay.
And the reason that I started was I just felt like, okay, when you get to the point in your life where metabolism is not as kind anymore, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh
Exactly
my
what
God,
I'm saying.
yeah, I have to do something. I have to do something, like regular exercise and so forth. And then I found out from our church bulletin that they're starting a running group through the church by this woman named Molly Wade, who is someone I know, someone I like. So that's how I actually get started. It's a 5K program. The running itself is very much like the Couch to 5K, but it's also um, a part of it is your faith, and so it's a training on running a 5K, but also faith. It's a faith endeavor, and and I was thinking that I have to do that because I have to stay fit because we know what how chemo affects our body. I
Mhm.
mean, it's harsh. It's very harsh, and I figured that if I'm not healthy, the next time I had breast cancer and I get chemo, that's not gonna be good if I'm not fit. So that's when I started running. So I guess it's more the other way.
Other way, okay. But were you active though before cancer, right? So throughout your life, or you were more like sedentary, or were you
I'm
always
more sedentary because I was blessed with a very good metabolism when I was
okay?
younger, and
Okay.
so I never uh I never did. I mean, I guess I'm not gonna say I'm very sedentary. I'm active and all of that, but and then there were times when I would make it a point to do regular exercise and all that, but it's not very consistent.
Had you, did you notice a difference between your first breast cancer and treatments versus the third time when you already start being a marathon runner and more into an exercise? Did you notice a difference in regarding coming out of that or recovering faster?
Well, I would say that I, in short, no. However, I would say that because I was much older, that it would have been much harder. I would expect that it would have been much harder, but it was not. It was like, it's just a sign.
Okay, very
It's
good.
just a sign because I remember, I remember I had a surgery on Wednesday, and I remember on Saturday I was doing laundry and all that, and
Okay, got
yeah,
you.
whatever. I went to my regular routine.
Did your kids end up getting tested yet?
Um, not yet, but I know my daughter. When she was little, she has asked me like when she should be getting her first mammogram. So I said, that's something that you have to ask your pediatrician. 20, which is right now. So they didn't even schedule her for a mammogram, but they scheduled her for a genetics testing.
Yeah, yeah. I think that they will do a genetic testing first. And depending where she's at with that, that's when they start programming mammograms, earlier than 40s, if that's the case. Otherwise, okay. Got you. What type of resources do you use that help you to make decisions about your treatments?
Hmm. I know I read a lot. Uh but as to whether no. And also in the very early 2000s, the internet was not as available, but I remember doing a lot of search, and I read up a lot. I also know some people in the medical profession who has given me advice, and basically, you know what, I listen to my doctors. um and I happened to have my oncologist at that time. He was very good. His name was Dr. Paul, and he was very good because he has both an MD and a PhD. So whenever he's discussing the treatment with me and my husband, he will also this and he knew that both my husband and I had PhDs also. So he would get into this big discourse as if we were his students, and teaching us what all the different options were and what it's doing, and so forth. So he was very good for us during that time.
Great. Um, Would you give us three valuable tips that you learn about your journey with your diagnosis? Like if you have, somebody like you going through breast cancer diagnosis right now, what will be three tips that you will advise them to kind of help them to go through this journey?
Okay. Oddly enough, my sister and my best friend at work were diagnosed last October, at about the same time with breast cancer. To me, it's really a positive outlook, meaning that don't look at breast cancer as if it's a death sentence. It's not. It's a bump on the road.
Mhm.
There's so much medical technology available that getting treated now, everything's available to you, and it's just a matter of taking it. If you think 50 years ago, 30 years ago, it's not there. So take it. The other thing is, because I know that some people, when they have this type of things, that they isolate themselves. and it's not a good thing. I think it I would advise to actually be more out there. Make it a point to be connected to your families and loved ones. The other thing that I would advise, because this was when I was diagnosed the first time, a friend gave me a book, or suggested that I read a book. It's called Anatomy of an Illness. It's a very old book, and it's not specific to breast cancer. It's a very thin book. It's still available at Amazon. Actually, I don't remember much from this book now. I remember talking about, I remember there's a discussion about the cello music by Pablo Casals. I don't know what the context was, but I remember that one very specific thing that was advised in that book that I took to heart, literally, is actually just watch funny movies.
Good, good, yes.
Watch funny movies. So for a very, very long time, I wouldn't watch anything but funny movies. And so everything that, oh, what do we do now? Let's watch a funny movie.
Uh-huh. Great.
So
That's
yeah,
great. I think that just kind of fill up your spirit, right? Like
yes,
why feeling sorry for yourself when there's nothing good out of it, right? So
that's
you
right.
just gonna have to see the light on the other side.
That's right. That's
Versus
right.
I always tell my patients, just don't think who you were a month ago or 2 months ago. Think where you were a week ago after surgery and where you are now.
That's right.
You're gonna be on the other side telling the story and helping other people. So
Like I'm telling you this story.
exactly right. That's exactly right. How about your most painful lesson through your journey?
Hmm.
You have had many journeys, but
Yeah. I you know I I can't think of any. Um okay. There's one. There's one. You know, rightfully, when we're dealing with breast cancer or any other kind of illness, we think of ourselves. I think that's the right thing to do. Think of yourself. You're it. You know, you're number one. You look out for number one. That's it. One thing that I didn't realize was the person having the illness is not the only one experiencing the illness. I realized this, of course, when I had my second breast cancer, and I had my children. And I remember my children were having were acting to the cancer very, very differently. Um, my son was in first grade, my daughter was still in um in daycare, and my son said, we had this fun weekend where we shaved my head. Just the three of us, just the four of us. We shaved my head. It was fun. My son said, "Mommy, don't show up at school."
wow.
So I said, "That's fine. I didn't show up at school, but I mean, they know about that. I was on the board of the school, so they know about it." But my son said, "Don't show up at school. He doesn't want. I guess he doesn't want to deal with it. Questions from his classmates. I guess." My daughter, on the other hand, um, I took her to daycare, and I remember I was carrying her. I had a hat, and when we got her, and I put her down, and she said, "Mommy, take off your hat," because she
Oh my,
wants to show everyone.
yes, yes.
So
Oh my God.
so so they're both they're experiencing this very differently. But I'm bringing that up because I never asked my husband how he was doing. And if you remember, when I was first diagnosed, we weren't even married.
Mhm.
And actually, he did say later on, where when he told his friends that I was diagnosed with breast cancer, was like his friend said, "Are you still getting married?" He didn't even think. He didn't even think of that. It wasn't even. It didn't even
Yeah.
something that he would consider. But yeah, looking back, I never asked how he was doing.
Mhm. Did you ever talk to him about this? Ever?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I talked to him about it, but he's not a talker. He's not a sharer.
Uh-huh.
As far as those type of things. However, I have to say that the day after my surgery for my third breast cancer, his mother passed away,
Oh my, sorry about that.
and it's breast cancer related.
Oh wow.
Yeah, my and that's also because my mother-in-law was not a very healthy person, and she had other cancers. That was her second breast cancer, but between her two breast cancers, she had a uh, very rare form of throat cancer, and she had experimental treatment. She survived that, but then when she had her next breast cancer, there were a lot of things going on in her life, and so I don't know, maybe she just felt that lump, but she didn't, think of it, and so by the time that she got it taken care of, it was advanced, and then, but the chemo was getting all of her previous scars in her throat
Mhm.
infected.
Oh wow.
She became weak. So then they had to stop treatments, and they didn't continue the treatments. And
Yeah, must be very hard for him knowing that his mom just passed and he's on the verge to facing that again with you and be there for
yeah,
kids, right? So that has to be really
yeah.
hard. Yeah. Okay. Um, is anything that you have that will be a value for the audience and what you share?
I I think, to me as a whole, it's my example. It's like, basically, if and this is another thing that I've learned to do through the different breast cancers. When I first was diagnosed with breast cancer, and they said, oh yeah, there's this support group and so forth, and we recommend you go, and I didn't go. The reason that I didn't go was very selfish. I was like, I'm actually doing really well, and then I'll go to this group where people are not doing as well as I am, and I'm gonna be depressed.
Yeah, you want to be around people who has a better experience than you do.
Right. And now I feel like, if you know someone who was just diagnosed with breast cancer, tell them about me,
Okay, great, thank you. Great, great. Yeah,
because that's where I think I'm helpful, because I feel like, okay, I'm success waiting to happen, and so should you.
yeah, that's awesome. That's so great. And I think that that's what I always tell patients. Sometimes I advise them good resources, right? So Dr. Google sometimes is not the greatest result because you can read so many things that some of them are true, some of them are not. Support groups, you can have the patients who have a terrible experience, so they're gonna say everything bad about it and scare you.
Mhm.
So you always want to be like with a good energy, positive energy. Yes, like you say, it's a bump on the road, and things are not pretty and perky. And I'm sure you have your bad days through chemo and your bad days through radiation, but you were always seeing the positive things of it. Part of it is just because you just move on with your life. You have two kids to take care of. And
Yep.
the kids, when you have kids, it's like you just sit through them and it's like anything that happened to you doesn't matter as long they're
Right.
okay. And then you have a great job and then you got involved in, just really in the profit or non-profit organization, really working to all that. So I think all that
Yep.
helped hangs just keeping your mind busy versus just sitting there thinking about every little thing that you feel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, like, if you're always saying that, what you're doing is not just for yourself, you're doing it for other people, it really does give you a lot more energy.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, I know as a breast cancer survivor, how this impact your mental health. And you already mentioned that you really didn't go to any support group. You ever talk to counseling or anybody, a friend, anything?
No, see, to me, how it affects my mental health, and I just tell you how it affects my perspective is, you know, I feel like, even though I always say, okay, oh yeah, breast cancer, it's not a death sentence and all that, but in truth, you face your mortality. I mean, it's like, okay, oh, it's there again. I'm gonna take care of that, but it's there. And so to me, having faced my mortality 3 times, it's like everything that I need to do, everything that I will think of ever doing or wanting to experience, it has to be now. It has to be now, because what if there's no
Tomorrow. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I think we're having a little issues with internet.
when I retire?
Yeah.
But what if I'm not there?
Yeah.
Why wait? So right now, I have to say that it is very challenging to um to have a full-time job and be a legislator. But I chose to do it because, I mean, I didn't want to wait to, oh, I'll be a legislator, I'll run for office when I retire, because what if I don't reach retirement age,
Mhm. Yeah, that's
right?
the point. So you feel as a legislator, are you, and I saw in some of your bio about, of course, women's right and potential. So have you been really pushing through like breast cancer technology or anything on those lines? Are you involved with any of that?
Well, I was actually I'm co-sponsor of a bill this term, that where um to not have any copay in the state of New Hampshire for any breast cancer related diagnostics.
Wow, that's very good. You have to move that if that passed to us in Florida.
Uh, yep. But the other thing is, you know, I know that there are a lot of people who got their cancer screening through Planned Parenthood, and Planned Parenthood don't in New Hampshire, there are our government keeps defunding Planned Parenthood because they only associate it with abortions and stuff like that, which it really is not. But those two things being related, and also my belief in every woman's right to choose and bodily autonomy, and that's all together.
Okay, got you. If I go back a little bit during your cancer treatments, you were training, right? Were you training through a marathon while you were going through cancer? Did that change any of your treatment?
Yes,
Your
yes,
treatment program?
because my surgery was late October, and I had to start training for Boston around Christmas time. So I I wasn't running, but the first time that I was able to go out and run, I was just bawling. I was like, oh my god, I can do it. But I remember actually marking the first day of training on Christmas Day. We were in Florida. We were in Miami Beach, and I went out for a run on Christmas Day because that marks my first day of training for Boston Marathon. But because I was still going through some procedures, um, then I have every time I have a procedure, then I will not run for 2 weeks. And so then you have to ramp up again. And then have another procedure, and then you don't run for 2 weeks, and then you have to ramp up again. So you have to do what you have to do, you
Okay.
know.
That's awesome. How do you manage to run 17 marathons? Man, this is a lot. I did a 9-mile run and I thought I was gonna die. So
Well, after I ran my first marathon, I promised myself that I was gonna run at least one marathon a year until I turned 60. So 2015 I ran Honolulu, 2016 I ran New York, 2017 I ran Chicago. And as remember, that's when I found out about the marathon majors. And so, as I said, when I want to do something, I have to do it now because there might not be later. So then I have to start applying to the major marathons. And I happen to have gotten Boston and Berlin on the same year, so I had to run them since they're far apart. It's like it's September, and then the next year I had London and Tokyo. They're closer together. They're actually 8 weeks apart. So I had to do it because, as again, if I don't do it, when am I gonna do it, right?
yeah.
So that's when. So I actually did the 6 majors in 4 years, and then I still promised myself that I was gonna run a marathon every year, which I did, and then during the pandemic, because there were no in-person marathons, so I was running virtuals. And when we were coming out of the pandemic, like in 2021, I was just itching to do something. And so I was like, oh my God, I actually had a place in the Berlin Marathon in 2020, which it didn't happen. So it was deferred to 2021. And I'm like, you know what? I want to run Paris also, that it's in April, so that's 8 months. And then, well, there's New York, there's Honolulu, and so I said, why don't I run one marathon a month? And so for that, so I ran 8 marathons
Oh my
in
God.
8 months, 4 in person and 4 virtual. One of the in-person marathons that I ran was the breast cancer marathon in Jacksonville.
Okay.
I
Did
did
that.
that in February in 2022.
Got you. Got you. Wow. That's a lot on your body. So you gotta be careful with your body a little bit.
Well, I do the Galloway, so I don't. So it's the run, walk, run, which I totally believe in. The recovery is faster, and I don't feel like I'm hurting my body a lot, especially like even when you just go on for your long run. Because when I was first training for a marathon, when you run, and at the end of the 20 miler, it hurts.
Yes.
It hurts. But when I learned the Galloway method of the run, walk, run, at the end of the 20 miles, I'm actually fine.
Okay.
I'm actually fine. So I said, yeah, this cycle of exertion and recovery really, really works.
Okay. That's great.
I'm a believer.
Is there anything else that you would like to add to wrap up?
Well, to me, it's really just, if I can share my experiences, if I can inspire people. Sometimes I think, there's really nothing. This is just me. I do what I do. But I have been told that some people are inspired, and so if I can do that for other people, I'm there.
Yes, and you did inspire Sammy, right? That's who connect us because she was one of my colleagues, PT colleagues who were here with me, went and did the marathon, and that's how she met you. And she came back and say, "Oh my God, I met this amazing person that I think she will be great for your podcast." And here we are. So that's how you inspiring people, and you're gonna hopefully continue to inspire a lot of people that listen to the podcast. So thank you
I
so
hope
much.
so.
I can talk to you for another hour. Super interesting conversation, but I know you have to go and thank you for your time to doing this with me.
Of course.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Have a great evening.